Hello everyone, let's start today's topic. In that we'll discuss about the order by. Okay. So in the last lecture we discussed about the where clause, we discussed about count and select. Now we need to understand the concept of order by. Note of that whenever we use this order by at the end of that statement. Okay. That means if we required your data in the form of ascending order or descending order. We retrieve our data. For example, I want to retrieve the whole customer table. Suppose I want to retrieve the whole payment table. Suppose I want full film table. In that case, we get the data in improper format, or we can say that in random format. So if you require that data in that rows and columns in proper formatting, we can say that in the ascending order, or in we can say that in the descending order, then we can use this order by. So you may have noticed that the PostgreSQL sometimes returns the same request query result in different. That means when we were trying to retrieve the data, we get the different kinds of data. If we get the actual data, don't worry about that. We get the actual data, but we get the data in proper format. So that means we did not get in ascending order. For example, if your record is starting from the A, or after that it's starting from the B, so we require the alphabetical order in the ascending order, or we can say that in the descending order. So like that we did not get the data. So for that order by is used. So we can use order by. So main purpose of order by is nothing but sorting. We all know that the concept of sorting, in that we get the ascending order and descending order. Okay. To sort, what if we get the random numbers like 10, 100, 20, 30, and if we trying to sort this number in ascending, so we get the 10, 20, 50 and 100. If we require that descending order, then we use 100, 50, 20 and 10. Such a type of order will be maintained. So same thing, if you want to apply this on column, so we get the result in the form of row, then we require the. It's quite easy, don't worry about that. Let's check about the theoretical part, and after that you will get the brief idea regarding that. So don't worry about that. So we can use order by to sort the rows based on column values. Okay, rows based on columns or values. That means by using column we can sort our data in either ascending order or descending. So we have two options. We can sort the data in the ascending order, and we can sort the data in the descending order. So what is ascending? We all know that. Okay, so first we get the smaller value, later on we get the bigger value as compared to first, later on we get the bigger value as compared to second. So like that stuff we get the values. Let's discuss about the syntax. So here's the syntax of order by. In that we can use a normal query like select column 1, column 2 from a table name. Afterward we will use a keyword, or we can use a clause called as order by. See, order by. So in that we can use a space. We can use a space. After that I will specify which column we require in order. Which column we require in example. We have column num. Now I'm trying to retrieve two columns, so among that I require column 1 in the ascending order, or column 1 in the descending order. So these are the shortcuts of ascending and descending. In that ASC is used for the ascending and DESC is used for the descending. So make a note of that. This order by will be used at the end of query. So before that, if you want to, if you are trying to retrieve the data, we need to, if you require a filter, if you want to perform any operation, we can do later on, just after completing the task. Whatever we required after completing the task, we need to sort our data. For the sorting purpose, we use the clause called as a order by. So we have two options, ascending, and second one is a descending. So notice, or we can say that note, order by towards the end of query. We already discussed about that, where we can use the order by. Order by will be used end of query. So since we want to do any selection or filtering first before finally sorting. So if you want to do any type of task, then we have to do before the order by. So for example, I'm trying to use a where clause after this order by. So it will give an error. So I'm trying to use where clause after the order by, because the order by is a last clause of what we say, last clause of SQL. So in that case, we cannot able to use order by before the where clause, or we can say that before the any other clause. Why we require that? Because once we get the data, we need to filter that data, we need to sort that data. Okay, so if you don't have a data, or if you don't have any output, so how we will filter that data, or how we will restrict that data? Okay, so for that reason, order by will be used at the end of. So we'll do one more thing. So we'll learn one more thing after this. Order by, we have an option of limit, and limit is also at the end of. Limit is the last element of SQL statement. So we'll discuss about them. So, so order by, in that use ASC. What is that? Use EASC to sort in the ascending order. Use ASC. So where we required, after the word order by, we need to specify the column name. Okay. Why we require to specify to column name? We'll discuss about that when we start the PG admin. So we will get the idea regarding that. So make a note of that. Just order by concept is applicable for column only. If applicable for column only, we cannot able to apply order by on a particular table. If we have an attribute, and if we require that attribute must be in the ascending order, and that attribute is nothing but in the descending order, then we can use the order. Can I able to use the order by concept for the rows? The answer is no. We can apply it on column, and the rows will be affected. ये ऐसा हो सकता है. So we can apply order by logic on the column, and the rows will be affected. Okay. So like that we can say that. So use DESC to sort in the descending order. Use ASC to ascending order. What happened if we did not provide any option? Did not provide any option with an query order by, or with an clause order by. So by default, it will be selected as ascending order. That means we need to use ASC. Okay, so this is the theory. So let's do the practical for that. So on the PG admin, before that, just I want to say, just carefully look at the table. So here I have a table. So I did a query, basic query. Okay, so I don't even know about the select statement. It will select all the attributes from a customer, and these two are the clauses. Select is clause and form is a clause. So it will return the data from the customer. So his ID is there, customer store ID is there, first name is there, last name is there, email is there, address is there, active is there, and current date. Just make a note of the customer ID. Just make a note of the customer ID. Does we have a data in ascending order or descending order? So just look at the first column. In that first entry is 524. That means we have a primary key as 524. Later on 1, 2, 3. So that means next data we have in the ascending order. Okay. So can I say that does this data is ascending order? Okay, let's look for the first name. In that first name is a Charu. Second one is a Mary. After that the Linda, and after that the other names. Can I say that does these names are in the proper ascending order? No. If it is ascending order, then we require to use first alphabet A, later on B, later on C, later on D. Can I say that this is in the proper, we can say that in the ascending or descending order? So we cannot able to say that. Okay. So when we're trying to retrieve by using a column name, last column email, so we get a different kinds of data. So for the purpose of sorting, just we need to use this concept. So let's try show you the example, and you can able to try, and after this we'll learn about the limit, and after that we'll do the challenge task. Okay, so in that section I will give you only one will explain two challenges, and after that I will give you one challenge as a homework. You need to perform that challenge. Just give me 1 minute so it will start. Ask for the password. So now my server is open. Click on the server. See, we have different kinds of database. So here I will use PES college and I will use query tool. We have a bunch of amount of data is available. So we actor is there, this is there, he is there, three customers. So here we have customer. So just I will fire a query to retrieve the data of customer. To execute that, so we get the data in a different form of data. See, we did not get any data in the form of ascending order or descending order. So let's perform the operation. So we get the data in the ascending or descending order. So select all from the customer. In that case, just we need to use will be the attribute we required in so here I will provide the first name space here I will use ASC. Okay, so this one is optional ASC because if you didn't want to provide the option ASC or DESC, then by default it will be select the ASC. Let's check about that whether it supports ASC. See, it supports the data in the form of ASC. See, let's check the first name attribute. That first attribute is Aaron, Adam, Edna, Alan, Albert. So that means the data is in the proper format. Earlier, when we took that data, we seen that data, the data is not formatted. The data is not formatted. So get the data in the form of this. Just give me 1 minute. Now we can check that the data, the first name, all the first name appears in the form of what? Ascending order. Here we'll provide the option called as ASC. Execute that ASC. We get the same data and the total 599 rows are affected. So how many rows we have? 599. Okay. So this data will be in the form of ascending. Let's try to descending order. Okay. So here I will work DESC. DESC stands for see just we need to use order by we need to use column name. So which column we required as a in order. So instead of that first name, if I use the customer ID, then we get all data in the ascending order either or descending order. Instead of that, if you want to use store ID, then we can use first name as a store ID, last name, email, whatever you want to use. Okay. So don't worry about that. Just here I'm trying to use a DSC. See, we get the Z as a first number, after that Y, W, William, like that. So we get the data in proper format. So you will get the idea regarding the order by. So if you have any query regarding that, let me know. We'll discuss about that. Does anyone have a query regarding that?
No, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Minute. We'll start the PPT. We'll discuss about the next. See, this one is a task. Now we need to perform and we need to think. Okay. Suppose user wants their row data in that data ascending order, that data, then what we use. Okay, so we already did that operations. Select all customers, order by first name ASC. See, all data we get in the ascending order. We get all data in the. Similarly, if required, select all from the customer, order by last name. So last name as a ASC, so we get the last name as a ASC. See, okay, so just make a note of that. I want to clear few things inside that. So which thing we need to use. Okay. See, make a note of that. Whenever we use order by, after that we can use a number of columns. Okay, so here I'm trying to use first name. After that, by using a comma, I can use last name. I can use the last name, and after that I will provide the ASC or DASC, both options. ASC stands for ascending order and DASC stands for descending. So for example, here I'm trying to use store ID as in ascending order also. So first name is a descending order and separation by using a comma. So here I will use is required in ascending order. I want required this store ID in the ascending order. Okay. So here I'm trying to pass two different kinds of operations. First name is a descending and store ID is ascending. So is it a valid? Yes, it is a valid. We can pass n number. Make a note of that. If we're trying to use first name as a ascending and last name is a descending, then we did not get average value. We get the actual value. Okay, but इतना difference आपको समझ में नहीं आएगा. Okay, so for that just use attribute, so you will get the idea regarding what is the order by. Okay, so I'm trying to use a store ID. Right now you can check one, after that two, 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 after that one. So does we can say that is this in ascending order or is this in descending order? Though we can say that no, this order is not maintainable. So if we're trying to execute that, see we get the output ascending order. See, here the first name is a descending order. First name क्या किया है मैंने descending order में. So where is the first name? So first name is a descending order. So what should I do? So just think, here I'm trying to use store ID is ascending order. In that ascending order. Semicolon. So there's a spell mistake. Trying to execute it. So we get that. Now think about the ID. See, 1 1 1 1 1 1 1. So can I say that? Is it in a ascending order? Let's check about that. See, all in ascending order. Later on, one that we get the 2 2 2 2 2 2 2. This is I can see. Now we get the store ID is a 2 2 2 2 2. Say that is it first name is in ascending order. First name in ascending order. Let's check about that. See, Adam is there. Alan is there, Albert is there. Okay, so think about store ID. Forget about the other operations. Okay. So if you required only stored ID and first names, instead of that, this you can use. You already know that. You don't want to return everything. Just if you want to use, store ID in this, see, we get the all data. Okay, whatever we required, we get the data. That note of while passing the options on order by, the attribute, that means the column will be separated by using comma and the values are ASC or DASC. Okay. So if we're trying to use a DASC, then the equals to, we require a first name as ascending order. We require a first name as ascending order. So first we get the 2 to 2. So instead of the 1, we get the output as a 2. So you will get the concept of. Let's do some different kind of operations so you will get the better idea. Question. It's time to think. Okay, so everything will be depend on the imagination. We already discussed about the concept of imagination. Suppose user wants their raw data in the descending order. We require the data in descending order data. So here we need to move the data. Then what we use? So just make a note of that. If you want to retrieve the data in descending order, we need to use the DESC, the keyword called as a order. So here select all from the customer order by last name as a DESC. So it will specify data in the descending order. Let's check out last name. See here we don't have any entry or the last name which started from the Z. So that's why we get the output Y. Okay, so Yang, E, Yangs. So you select that we get the data from the Y. So we don't have the option of last name. So we already did the practical. Now select from the customer order by first name as a DSC. We already did that. Now this is about the order by. So we have completed the task of order by, and if you think that you can do a operation on the customer ID, stored ID, make a note of that. Just I did the practical. I want to discuss one more few things. So we can pass any options. Make a note of that. Just make a note of that. Just we need to use comma inside the two options. Okay, this is about the order by. Just make a note of that. If any interviewer asks what is the clause of order by, so we need to specify the answer. Order by is used for the sorting purpose. Order by is used for the sorting purpose. Now we'll turn about the next bit. Now this one is a limit. Another concept is limit. In that section we'll discuss about the limit. So what is a limit? Is used for the limit is a command allows us to limit the number of rows written for a query. See, just I want to say few things about the limit. Just I want to say we use the paint. Certain attributes. Table contains multiple rows. This one is a table. Assume that these are the column attributes. Let's assume that that table contains some different kinds of attributes like a column. Okay, so this one is B column. That this one is a C column. There's a D column. Last one is we use limit. Let's check about that. See, these are the columns and assume that some data is happening. This table name is called as let's see. We just answer it. Assume that we have this, these are the not blanks. So contains some values. So if you want to retrieve the all data from the table PESCOE, what we need to do? What we need to do if you want to retrieve all the data? What do you think? If you want to retrieve all the data of PESCOE data, PESCOE table. So does anyone know how we'll retrieve the data from the table? Yes, reply fast. If you want to retrieve the data from the database, from the table, what we need to use, which command we need to use to retrieve the data? Select.
Select
Yeah. So what is the command? Select all from the PEAC. How many rows will be affected? What do you think that? How many rows will be affected? For example, I want to retrieve the all columns. Right now I have columns 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, assume that I have 100 columns. Okay, so I store the data in the 100 columns. If I trying to retrieve the data from the PSA table, how many rows will be affected or how many rows we get as output if we have 100 rows?
100 rows will
Yeah.
be affected.
So 100 rows will be affected. If you want to restrict that 100 rows, if you want to restrict that 100 rows, then we need to use the limit keyword or limit attribute. Okay. So for example, if you have 100 rows, among that just you need to check 5 rows. Among that just you need to check one row. Then we need to use limit. Okay. So let's go for the PPT, and here we discuss about the theoretical part of the limit. Let's check. So here the limit command allows us to limit the number of rows written for query. That means if you have a 15,000 rows, if you have a 10,000 rows, if you have 100, 200, 300 rows, and if you want to restrict that rows, I don't want to retrieve all the data, just I want to check for the column purpose. I will retrieve only one column. I will retrieve one row. Okay, or I will retrieve 5 rows. I will retrieve 10 rows. So for that reason, limit is used. Okay. So earlier, see, just in PJ admin, I will show you in the payment section. Suppose here I want to retrieve all data from the payment. Payment see, we have payment. I'm trying to execute that. See how many rows are affected. See here we get 14,000. So I'm going to re-execute it. So 14,596 rows are affected. That means if you're trying to retrieve this data, the 14,596 row are affected. That means we have much amount of data. So when trying to see, we have a much amount of data. If you are trying to do. So if you want to restrict that, then we need to use limit. Then we need to use limit. So what will be the syntax of limit? We'll discuss about that. First of all, we'll cover the theory. See, useful for not wanting the return every single row in a table, but only view the top few rows. Okay, like in Linux, top command is there and htop command is there. We pass the hyphen option, how many number of rows you need to retrieve. So like that, similarly, limit will be used. Okay, so here we need to specify the limit, and after that, we need to specify the numeric values. So limit also became useful in the combination with order by. That means if you want to use the limit, then we can use with order by and any other clauses also. So let's discuss about the syntax. So limit goes very end of query. So that means earlier we discussed about the order by. Order by will be used the end of query. Why? Because we need to perform the sorting operation. So once we gather the information, we grab the information, we apply the filtering, we get the data. After that, we can use the order by. And later on how many rows we need to affect, how many rows you want to retrieve, then we use the limit. So that's why limit goes a very end of the query request and it will be the last command to be executed. ऐसा नहीं होगा कि ऑर्डर बाय की पहले यूज करूंगा. अगर आई एम ट्राइंग टू यूज द ऑर्डर बाय के पहले मैं यूज करता हूं, then we get the app, because we are not doing the filtering and we are not doing the sorting. Okay, so make a note of that. The limit will be used at the end of query, and this one the last command of your query. So what will be the syntax? See, select all from the table name. For that I will use a limit. So make a note of that. Why we use these capital letters? Because these are the clauses, and the small letters, these are the columns or table names. Okay, so make a note of that. Okay, every clause we write that should be in capital letters. Okay, so limit, and after that we will pass the numeric value. So let's do one practical so you will get the idea. So So select all from the payment. Here I required only 5 rows. Among the 14,000 rows, I want to display just 5 rows. So what should I do here? After the payment, I will use limit pass limit. Just click on it. See, we get the only 5 rows. Among the 14,000 rows, I retrieve the 5 rows. This is the power of limit. So it will restrict only those rows which are specified. Right now I specified only 2 rows, so it will affect only 2 rows. See, and why we use the limit, make a note of that. इन सर्टन कंडीशन ऐसा हो सकता है कि टॉप मोस्ट थिंग्स आपको चाहिए या बॉटम मोस्ट थिंग्स आपको चाहिए, या आपको कॉलम्स के बिहेवियर चेक करना है या कॉलम्स चेक करना है कौन से कॉलम मेरे पास है, व्हाट विल बी द डेटा टाइप. So in that case we will use limit. Okay, so for example, just I want to check the attributes of payment table. So what should I do? I will use only limit 1. Okay, so here I will get payment ID, customer ID, staff ID, rental ID, amount, and payment table. Okay, so according to that, we can think what are the attributes are available in the payment table. Okay, so this is about the limit option. So if you want to restrict the rows, to retrieve the rows, what we said, then we can use the limit option. Then we can use the limit option. This is quite easy. So this is an example. Select all from the customer where limit is 5. Okay, so we retrieve only 5 rows. We retrieve only 5 rows. Okay, so let's think that suppose user wants to retrieve 5 latest payment record in ascending order. What does it mean? If user wants to retrieve 5 latest payment, so payment will be available in the payment table. Okay, let's do that. And after that, this record will be in ascending order. That means in that case we need to use a limit as well as ascending order. Let's do the practical so you will get the better idea. So first of all, I will check the payment option. I will check for the columns. In that column I have a payment date. Okay, so you require only latest 5 payments. So according to payment date, we will retrieve the data. According to the payment, we require the data. So what should I do? Here, select all from the payment. Okay. After that, I will use order by. Okay, order by, and we need to specify the attributes. Okay, we need to specify the attribute. We require the latest data. So the latest data will be available in the payment date. So here order by payment underscore date. Okay. This one is my column in the ascending order. So here I will use ASC, and after that I will limit the option. So limit 5. So this is the solution of this command. See, I will revise this command. Suppose user wants to retrieve 5 latest, that means topmost payment record in ascending order. So for ascending and descending order, we will use order by. We will use order by. And which column we required? We required a payment date. Why? Because payment date contains the latest payment details. Okay, latest, earlier, whatever it may be. And we'll use ascending order over here. That means the topmost payment will be displayed on the screen, and after that we'll restrict to the 5. So we require only 5. So here he says 5. If we say that 6, then we need to specify the 6. So like that. So just hit that. We have query ASC syntax error at near ASC. Check it. Use payment. If you did want to follow it, didn't want to print ASCs, and then it's also okay. So we get the data. Okay. If you required it in the ascending order, ASC, it's okay, fine. Don't worry about that. Okay, so that is a maybe mistake of column name. So we get that data. See, The date was there 14 to 2007, time 9 o'clock and 21 minutes. Next transaction will be 9 o'clock 23 minutes. Next transaction 9 o'clock 29 minutes. Next transaction 9 o'clock 41 minutes. Next transaction 9 o'clock 44 minutes. That means we can say that we have a latest data. We have a latest data. Okay, so hope so you will get that. So we'll do another practicals also. See, select hint दिया है मैंने, hint select all from the payment, and here we get the solution. Select all from the payment, order by, payment date, ASC and limit. Okay. So if you think this data should be in descending order, okay, so see, suppose if you want to retrieve the five uh, oldest payment record, okay, last five transaction I want to check, then just what should we do here? Instead of ASC we need to use what? DESC. DESC, descending order. Here this mistake of limit, click on that, see we get the descending, that we get the topmost 14/5/2007. The time was 1 o'clock 45 minutes 44 minutes, 1 o'clock 44 minutes, 1 o'clock 44 minutes 29 seconds. So all the data will be, all the transaction will have the same time. Okay, so here topmost, or we can say that the bottommost outputs are there, bottommost outputs are there. Okay, so like that you can perform the operation. Now see, suppose user wants to retrieve five latest record in ascending order with condition value must be greater than 5. Okay, so before that just I will use ascending order, and let's discuss about that. Let's discuss about that so you will get the idea regarding that. Click on that and just check out the amount. Check out the amount. The amount is 2.99, 4.99, 4.99, 6.99, and last one is a 0.99. Now what's the concept? Suppose user wants to retrieve five latest payment. Latest means what? Topmost payment. Here we restricted limit. Okay. Record in ascending order. That means here we need to use order with, order by, with condition. Condition means we need to use where clause. Condition means we need to use where clause. Value must be greater than $1. Here we have all the records, but the last record is not greater than $1. Last record is not greater than $1. Okay, so the last row will be affected. Last row will be affected. So where we need to use select all from payment. Here I will pass another condition where clause, where amount greater than equal to 1.00. Okay, so $1 के आगे चाहिए ना? Yes, we require greater than $1. So where we pass select all from the payment where amount is greater than equal to $1 order by payment date. So click on that. The last row will be affected only because the rest of rows are having the value greater than $1. So click on that. See, we get the last row will be affected, and here we get the new entry of 3.99. Here we get the new entry of 3.90. So last 0.99 will be removed. So because here we pass the where command according to that condition. So they will ask, suppose user wants to retrieve five latest payment record in ascending order, we get that. Okay, so like that stuff we can do. Here I have given the examples also, so just you need to watch that video if you require any query. Okay, so the last two will be now. We did the operation of what, order by, we did the operation of limit also. Now we need to perform the challenge. So I will give you a challenge task. Okay, so for that I will solve two queries so you get better idea, and after that I will give only one task to perform it. Okay, and we did not give any options. I did not give the expected answer, I did not give the hint. I will give a basic hint for you, and just you need to solve. Okay, so first, if we want to reward our first paying 10 paying customer, okay, so this one is a business situation. Now we need to offer a reward, so those who did a payment for first 10 transaction, for means we need to check the payment table. So what will be the question? What will be the query? What are the customer IDs of first 10 transaction of first 10 customer who created the payment? So मुझे 10 customer चाहिए. That means we require a customer ID. After that we also require the payment option also. That means amount, पेमेंट डेट जो पेमेंट करेगा फर्स्ट ट्रांजेक्शन हो. So that means why what things we need to use. We require a customer ID. We require top 10. So that means limit is used. Okay. So we require the ascending order. That means order by we need to use. Okay. So what are the customer IDs of the first 10 customer who created the payment? So let's check the table. So what will be the expected answer? So this one is the expected answer. We require the customer IDs. We require the customer IDs. And by using that ID, we can retrieve the name and email address. Okay, so this one is another. So let's do the practical. For that, we require a table payment. So in that, we require a customer ID, and here is a payment date option. Okay, so we require only topmost 10 elements. Okay, so here I will remove everything. So select all from payment. Here I did select all by what attribute we require, what attribute I require. So we did not require all things. So here I will use only customer from payment order by. Here we need to use order by. Okay, order क्या चाहिए, payment date के हिसाब से चाहिए. Okay, so here I will write payment underscore date. Which order we require, topmost चाहिए. So that's why I am using ascending order. How many records we require? How many records we required? 10 records we required. So here I will pass limit to 10. Here I will pass limit to 10. Just trying to execute it, we get that latest 10 records. We required to use only latest 10. So just match with expected answer. See, did we get the 416 at the top, 416 at the top, 595 as the bottom, 595 as the. So in that way, we can solve this query. This one is a challenge task 1. So like that, you need to perform the operation. Let's do. So what about the hint? Use payment table. You can use drop down to view what are the columns are available. You need to use both order by and limit. Remember, you need to specify whether the order is ascending or descending. So these are the hint. So according to that, we need to solve the options. And what will be the solution? So this will be the solution. Select customer ID from the table payment, order by, payment date, and sending order. Why we use a payment date? Because we require a topmost. If we require a bottommost, again we require a payment date. But the data should be in the ascending order. If you did not pass the ASC, then it's okay, no problem, because by default ascending order is maintained. And how many records we required? 10. So that's why here I limit the record with 10. Okay. So now let's check for the another task. A customer want to quickly rent a video. That means ये film का option है. A film table is there. A customer wants to quickly rent a video to watch over their short lunch break. So that means a customer है, उसका break है. Assuming that we all know that the break time is 50 minutes or break time is 1 hour. Okay, so within 1 hour, he need to rent one movie and he need to watch that movie while eating the food or while doing the lunch. Okay, so we need to specify what are the options are available, short movies are available, so he or she can watch that video during the lunch. Okay, so what is the title of 5 shortest in length runtime movie? So just means that we need to specify the title name and duration also. Okay, so that duration must not be greater than 60 minutes. If you think that the lunch break will be 1 hour, then we need to retrieve that data. So what are the attributes we need to require? What are the attributes? We require the title, we require the duration. That means expected answer will be the title and duration. Okay, this first thing will be. Second important thing, we require to limit because we need to retrieve only 5 elements. Okay, 5 rows we need to require. So that means we need to use limit. So again, topmost condition चाहिए. So here we get the condition. Here we need to specify the condition. Why? because the length must not be greater than 60. The may length must not be greater than 60. So that's why length will be specified. After that, does we require an order by? Yes, we require an order by because we required a data in the form of ascending. So for that, we required this expected answer. For that, we required a expected answer. Let's took the table of film so you will get the idea. Here we have a table called as a film. So I will retrieve the all elements of film so you will get the idea. Select all from film. Let's check out how many attributes we have. See, film ID is there, title is there, description is there. So we don't require a description over here. Release here, there, length is there, length, duration, rental duration is there, rental rate is there, length is there, replacement is there, cost rent. So this length we require. This length we require. Okay, length means how many minutes we have. Okay, so for example, we select the first movie. The first movie is 117 minutes, 49 minutes, 50 minutes, 51. So like that, we get the information. We require to use the 50 minutes. Let's think that if you're trying to use 50 minutes, 60 minutes, so we need to use. Okay, so what should I do? Here we require two columns. That comma, we required a length. Note of that ये operator भी है, so keyword भी है. We'll discuss about later. That's why इसका color change है. But we all know that if you want to use a keyword, that keyword must be in the capital letter, so we can easily read that. Okay. So forget about the length. So assume that this is the column only. Okay. So select title and length from a table frame. So here we need to specify the certain condition where length must be less than equal to, assume that 60 minutes, assume that the lunch break is a 60-minute, or we can say that the lunch break is a 50 minutes. Okay, whatever you want. Okay, so in some company there will be a lunch break of 1 hour, 50 minutes, 45 hours, like that. Okay. So now we need to order. Here I will use order by. Order by which attribute we require a length. We require a length in ascending order for that. So we require length really in length in ascending order. Okay. So ये color change हो रहा है, so don't worry about that because the length is a keyword and we will discuss in later why we use a length keyword. Okay, but right now this small case length will be treated as a column name. ये column name treat होगा. So title length from a film where length must be less than equals to 50. Order by length is ascending order and we need to restrict the output with 5. So that's why here I will use limit 5. So ये इतनी बड़ी क्वेरी हो गई बट हम डिपेंडेंट थिंग्स लर्न कर रहे हैं लाइक वी ऑलरेडी लर्न अबाउट द वेयर वी ऑलरेडी लर्न विद सिलेक्ट ऑर्डर बाय असेंडिंग डिसेंडिंग लिमिट सो हम ये पूरा नॉलेज जो मुझे आता है जो हमें आता है वो हम यहाँ अप्लाई कर रहे हैं click on that. See, we get the 5 latest movie. We get the 5 latest movie whose duration is less than 50 minutes. Whose duration is less than 50 minutes. So ये output expected है. So इतने short time में he or she can watch the movie during his or her lunch. Okay. So task तो ऐसा ही था. So see one by one more time. What is the title of 5 shortest in the length of runtime movies? Okay. So so that customer wants to quickly rent a video to watch over their short lunch break. So short lunch break में वो watch कर सकता है. This one is expected answer. So this one is a hint. You can clearly specify that hint, and this one is a solution. Select title length from film where length is less than 60. Order by length. Length will be in ascending order. Order by. Okay. So limit will be 5. Limit will be. So these are the. So like that you can able to perform. ये आपके ऊपर है कि आपको perform कैसे करना है. Okay. Now, last challenge task. So this one is for your homework. I did not provide any solution. I have implemented this. but this is for you. Okay, so let's discuss about that. If the previous customer can watch any movies that is 50 minutes, so he need to watch 50 minutes during his lunch time or less in runtime, 50 or less than 50, how many option does she or he have? That means we just did this operation and we retrieve only top most फाइव जो फाइव ये थे, सो वो मैंने यहाँ दिखाई दिए पूरे. ओके, सो एडिशनल थिंग्स क्या पूछ रहा है कि जस्ट हाउ मेनी ऑप्शन डज सी ही. Okay. So कितना टाइम उसके कितने ऑप्शंस उसके पास है. So the expected answer is 37. So I will provide the hint as a 37. So you need to write a query for that and you need to find out how many options he have or she have. Okay. So this is the challenge task for you and you need to do the task. So if you have any query regarding this challenge task, so let me know about that. I will explain and you need to do the practice. Just quickly unmute yourself and ask question regarding a challenge task third for order by and limit. Did you get that question? Just think on that. I will share this task. Okay, so I will share this task with you so you will get the idea regarding that. So, minute, share this task with you. I want this answer. Okay. In the previous customer, that means जो हमने previous challenge task 2 किया था, can watch any movie that is 50 minutes because he has a break time or we can lunch time of 50 minutes. Okay, make a note of that, or less than 50 minutes. How many options does she he have? कितने options उसके पास हैं? So we need to specify. That means कितने options. So the expected answer is 37. If you get the 37 as an expected answer, that means you can completed your challenge task. It took more time. Okay, for performing this task you need to analyze whole thing what I taught during in part. Okay, part 2 में मैंने जितने भी पढ़ा है इसका सभी का लॉजिक यहाँ अप्लाई करना पड़ेगा तो ही ये output. This is about what today's lecture. So you will get the idea. I will share that. So if you have any query about that, discuss. Yes, I will take the attendance. Done. So you need to specify that answer. I will upload the lecture and this